I'd like to welcome everyone to our August webinar, Consultative Selling, How to Build a Long-Term Relationship with Your Customers. We're expecting a great turnout today, and I'd like to thank each of you for joining us today in this session. I'll begin with a brief overview of how this webinar will be run, then I'll introduce our facilitator. My name is Jessica Alfaro, and I'm a manager at CapPlus Exchange. I'm very pleased to have met or communicated with most of you earlier and to meet the rest of you today. If you're joining us for the first time, I'd like to just share a little bit more information on CapPlus. CapPlus Exchange enables financial institutions in emerging markets to serve small businesses more effectively and profitably. Dedicated to increasing people's economic opportunities by strengthening financial services to small businesses, CapPlus provides financial institutions with strategic and operational capacity building, training and peer learning, and pilots of innovative solutions to expand markets. For this webinar, we have muted all the voice lines going through to improve the sound quality, but we do encourage you to submit your questions by typing them into the chat box on the GoToWebinar app on the right-hand side of the screen. We'll also be asking for input from the audience at a few points in the webinar and look forward to hearing your thoughts at those times. Let me now share a little bit about our facilitator. Mihaela is a senior banker with over 20 years management experience in banking and financial services, mainly in the design, implementation, and management of projects related to microfinance, SME banking, including strategy, marketing, product development, sales, CRM, and Salesforce effectiveness, SME lending, including loan origination, underwriting, collections, workouts, and portfolio management, affordable housing finance, student loans, risk management, especially credit risk for SME lending, and bank restructuring. Currently, she is the managing partner of Servium, a strategy consulting practice of Romanian SMEs. She has performed consulting work in Romania, Azerbaijan, Slovenia, the Czech Republic, and Mongolia. CapPlus is proud to again be the partner of the Global SME Finance Forum 2016, which is expected to bring some 400 senior executives from commercial banks, development finance institutions, and fintech companies, as well as regulators. This event will highlight innovative SME banking approaches, showcase cutting-edge financial technologies, and address crucial policy and regulatory issues. If you're interested in registering, you can contact me directly or go to our website. And now I will turn it over to Mihaela.
Thank you, Jessica, for your introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to our webinar on consultative selling. I am Mihaela Ciobotea, and during this webinar, I will focus on the importance of creating a structured selling process within a financial institution, and also on the techniques to use to increase customers' loyalty. I will present some key concepts used in sales alongside some practical examples. I will also highlight some results of a successful and a not so successful implementation of consultative selling and the key ingredients that make the difference. At the end of the seminar, this webinar actually, you will know how far you are on the path to a successful and long-term relationship with your SME customers. We will conclude the webinar with a session of questions and answers. So, as we all know, customers of a financial institution should be seen and treated as its most valuable assets. Consultative selling, or relationship selling as it is known, means communicating with your customers so that you understand their needs, raise their interest for bank's products and satisfy those needs, overcome objections, and present benefits. The result usually is a win-win agreement. At this point, on one hand, you have the customers who are now already convinced that you understand and respond to their needs, and on the other hand is you, who will be able to sell, hence meet your targets. Just talking about product features or selling a product without knowing if the customer really needs it, it's most of the time penalized by the customer. And although it may seem effective, this happens only for a very short period of time. Marketing experts have demonstrated that it costs 5 times more to get a new customer than to keep an old one. Financing, and this, why is this? Because financing relationships are built on trust between the customer and the bank. And trust takes time to create, and is done through having a polite, friendly, comfortable, yet professional relationship with you, with your customers. If these customers are happy not only with bank's products, but also with a relationship with you and the bank, they become loyal customers, which of course translates in better retention rates. Contented customers have another quality. They tend to become and are willing to become better customers. And this means higher repayment rates, using more products, so probably higher deposits, and also they refer others to the bank. Let's see what are the sales roles of a successful loan officer. First of all, a loan officer should be a relationship manager, as previously discussed. It is important to build a relationship with the customers, and the purpose is to get this relationship for a long term. Customers usually want more than just a loan, just getting a loan. They want to build this business relationship, and they want to be treated as business partners. Loan officer will also have an ongoing contact with their customers, with existing customers, but they also have to be open to any referrals and leads. And finally, he or she has to be a successful salesperson. As managers, we tend to focus more on staff's technical skills, such as financial analysis, identifying red flags, meeting targets and deadlines, writing reports, doing paperwork. We overlook the need to improve their skills and abilities to perform better in terms of sales. We even accept that some people were born to be salespeople. However, when we look at the reasons for not closing the sales, we realize that all but the last one of these obstacles can be overcome through proper training. So insufficient planning, inability to link product link product benefits to customer needs, inability to identify the real needs of the customer, inability to overcome customers' objections, and the lack of follow-up. Starting from the sales role of a loan officer and the reasons for not closing a sale presented in the previous slide, CapPlus has developed a sales toolkit that improves the skills needed to accomplish them, namely the ability to correctly identify customers' needs, to offer the right solution, to overcome potential objections, everything in a professional manner and efficiently. The toolkit starts by introducing some specific concepts in order to have a common language and approaches, and make sure we have a common understanding of the terms during the whole session. It gives the participants the opportunity to rehearse and to exercise through practical activities and using specific tools. One of the concepts we introduce in training is what is for me, or we FM. Most of the time, customers come to the bank with some requests, which are rather wishes, not their real needs. The request is what the customer says when he or she comes to the bank. The need is a real, objective necessity of the customer. It is loan officer role to identify the needs and to offer the best suited solutions. Now, if you think the solutions presented by the bank are bank's products, these or the services, these products have features that present advantages that result in benefits to the customer, that respond to customer needs. Example of features, of course, interest rate, term of the loan, max amount of the loan, time to yes, time to cash. Advantages are usually presented in relation to competition and are relative. For example, the interest of our loans are better, means lower, than the rate asked by our competitors. The features can change overnight. Hence, the advantages will vanish. Consequently, the sales based on competitive advantages can be short-lived. Thus, we have to present the benefits to our solution, the benefits of our product or our service to the customer. The benefit shows how our product and its characteristics meet or answer customers' real need. Selling based on benefits is more successful than the sales based on features and advantages. We are dealing with objections daily in our personal and professional lives. So it's very important to understand those objections. An objection is usually an unaddressed concern. Customers have objections because they are skeptical about a product, about how to use them. They don't know how the product works, or are reluctant to change to other products or to change to another bank. Overcoming objection is an important step in sales. Hence, we give it a special attention. After presenting the steps of overcoming objections, participants practice the skills throughout the whole training and even develop a comprehensive set of solutions for real-life objections raised by real customers and prospects. Selling is a process. The better you know, you practice and apply it, the more successful you become. Selling involves some activities that are interrelated. Planning, phone call, making a phone call, meeting face-to-face with customers, and follow-up. All contribute to the success of selling, and is in a fine mechanism. All parts have to fit in. They have to be fine-tuned so that the mechanism will work properly and smoothly. During the sales seminar, we address in detail these 4 components of the selling process, on how to plan a phone call or how to plan a meeting, which are the steps of a successful phone call or of a successful meeting, why we have to follow up. We have checklists, we have exercises, and we give tips and solutions from real life. During this webinar, I will present the steps of a successful meeting and the importance of correctly identifying all financial needs of a customer. During a face-to-face meeting, we have to make sure we understand customer needs and give solutions by explaining benefits. We already discussed about that. Thus, we make the sell. Customers approach banks or financial institutions with doubts, and it is our role to overcome these doubts gradually. To achieve this, we structure the selling process in the following steps: opening, needs identification, presenting solutions and benefits using what's in it for me technique, and overcoming objection using LERC technique. It is known that people buy from people who they like and trust. So opening is a key phase of the selling process. You have to show availability and also build trust in you. When buying, people think of their needs and of what they want, their reasons, not ours. This is why we need to identify customer needs and structure the whole selling process around those needs. Once we understand the needs, we have to present the best solution for the needs. We have to link the solution to the needs by presenting benefits, as shown previously, so that we show to the customer that we care, and hopefully after that he or she will be more willing to accept our offer, identify reasons for objections and overcome them. Actually, closing is our objective, but our work doesn't stop there. We will have to follow up. We want to be sure that the customer is happy with the presented solution, and we are ready to build upon this satisfaction and to build a long-term relationship with the customers. Customers have different needs: transactions, savings, financing, and personal, either as individuals or for their employees, to pay their salaries, for example. Way too often, our loan officers are focused to make loans, which, as we see now, is only one element of the equation. Most revenues come from transactions. And I've seen so many loan officers who give loans to customers who keep their savings in another bank or run their business through another bank. In other words, my financial institution, my banks, bears the risks and the competition collects the revenues. And this happens just because a loan officer didn't even bother to identify all financial needs or didn't know how to overcome the most common excuse. Oh, but this bank has been my bank for so many years, right from the beginning. I cannot change it now. It's so difficult. So first, we have to identify all these needs and then address each of them, ask open and closed questions for each need, overcome objection using the LERC technique. We present also the importance of following up with our customers to show our appreciation to show the customer our appreciation for working with us. Following up is a good moment to cross-sell or upsell, but not everybody knows how to use these powerful selling techniques. We use examples and exercises to make sure everybody understands the difference between the two and gets comfortable with using them. During the session on time management, we detail the importance of planning most of, if not all, selling activities, prospecting and prioritizing customers, phones to prospects and existing customers, meetings and site visits, working on the loan files before and after approval, monitoring the existing portfolio. We use pipeline, we use call reports, we use monthly targets as tools in order to prioritize the activities while considering the percentage of achievement per each KPI, key performance indicator, emergency to the customer, and available time left to the end of the month. As I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, it is several times more expensive to acquire new customers than to keep the existing ones. Customers decide to leave a bank for various reasons, and 82% of these reasons are within your control, within our control. So what can loan officers or relationship managers do to improve customers' experience? First of all, they have to know the customer. They have to be customer focused. They have to be efficient. They have to understand customers' needs, to propose specific products linked to those needs, to contact all clients regularly, and thus they will win customers' loyalty. We advocate that introducing a consultative selling approach within an institution always proves beneficial. However, if you are experiencing any of the signs presented here, setting this process is almost compulsory. So if your brand network has increased recently, it's time to introduce a standardized process with standardized tools, with standardized KPIs, key performance indicators related to selling. This will assist you in staff evaluation too. And this stands true if you notice significant differences in meeting the targets among branches and or staff. Maybe there are some people who are very good technically but don't know how to sell the benefits. Instead, they might focus on selling the features of the product. If your staff has changed a lot recently and you are adding new people, either experienced or not so experienced, it's also good to take everybody through a training on selling. This will also give the opportunity to the more skilled and experienced ones to share their experiences with those which are not so seasoned. Usually, when we introduce new products, we focus on product features to present to the customer. We also, when we talk with our staff, we tell them which is a segment they should target. However, alongside features, it's always a good idea to present some what's in it for me and answers to the most likely objections to be raised by customers. How can you do that if your staff doesn't have the knowledge and skills to apply these concepts or techniques? If you are an MFI that has transformed into a bank, a sales training is extremely useful, especially to make your staff sell other products too, namely current account, but not just it, but actually using it, savings, transactions, like payments, internet banking, POSs, and obviously retail products, starting with personal products for entrepreneurs as individuals and continuing with products for entrepreneurs employees. I left setting up a new SME department in a corporate bank at the end, just because it's a case I wanted to share with you. Our client was a commercial bank with a vast network, over 300 branches. It has always had SMEs as customers, but never had a targeted approach towards them. SMEs were treated by the same staff who dealt with large corporations. The bank has decided to add SMEs among its targeted customers. So they hired 2 middle managers at headquarter level, whose job was to set up and run a new department especially for SMEs. The other staff at branch level was to be selected from existing staff. Usually, the branch managers recommended for the new department the staff who hadn't performed well with the corporate customers. We were hired to assist them along the process. We recommended to set up a pilot of branches from different geographical regions, and the top management selected 9 branches from 3 regions that were different both economically and socially. One of the regions was the capital city and its surroundings. Restarting, we adjusted the tools, the templates and formats to the bank's needs, with the implication of middle management, of course, and trained relationship managers, branch managers, regional coordinators, and some people from the headquarter level. After the training, we worked with the branch managers and regional coordinators on how to use the new sales tools and coach them to efficiently manage the staff on sales. We also set up few KPIs in line with the bank objectives, overall objectives, but also these KPIs were linked to sales. Loans went among KPIs per se, but we used the cross-sell rate. In other words, we encouraged the relationship managers to approach customers who were having loans with other products, and the customers who use the bank only for transactions to go and meet them to understand their financing needs. 3 months down the road, the results showed as presented here. The first observation is linked to one of these KPIs, which is success rate, because the management decided this is not relevant for the first semester because the method of computing it was not consistent among branches. Other than that, we noticed that there was a branch that had performed very well, almost always exceeding targets, and another one that performed poorly. The other two branches from the same region with a poorly performing one had the results just slightly above average. And the region in which they were located was advanced economically. So what happened? First, the relationship manager was very unhappy for being SME customers and considered that some products were too sophisticated for them, such as internet banking and debit card. So he wouldn't even present them to his customers. He didn't like that most customers didn't have the financial vocabulary as did the CFOs of his previous customers. Second, the branch manager considered that relationship manager is good at selling and let him sell the same way as he had always done it. Therefore, he didn't go with the relationship manager to the customers, or when he did, he wouldn't couch the relationship manager properly. He didn't make such as making sure the relationship manager follows all the steps or the checklists, ask the right questions, use the right wording. Third, the regional coordinator used to be a subordinate of the branch manager in another bank and didn't have the courage to exercise proper authority towards this one. And fourth, the region was economically developed, hence the competition for the customers was fierce among banks. The targets were a little too ambitious for the whole region. What we did? A middle manager from the headquarters had individual and collective meetings with all these three guys: relationship manager, branch manager, and regional coordinator. They all agreed that everybody should follow the selling process to the letter. Branch manager recognized the authority of the regional coordinator and agreed to comply with the process. Relationship manager agreed to comply, but 3 weeks later left for a corporate banker position in another bank. Targets were adjusted down. The branch that performed really well had a very enthusiastic team. The relationship manager was relatively new to banking and loved the whole training and process. You will see her opinion later on in this presentation. She had a good chemistry with the branch manager, and they were offering each other feedback on the selling needs. Both followed the process to the letter and were asking the coordinator for tips that work in other branches. They tried to sell every product that was suited to the customer's needs, obviously, but they didn't have any self-imposed barriers. After the pilot, bank management decided to expand the process through the whole network, and it did so within 6 months in various phases. So overall, the key success factors are presented here in this slide. And here I would like to underline the importance of having a sponsor at top management level. Obviously, you won't see results from the first week. And obviously, the new way of doing things might upset people in the field, especially branch managers, who will have now to follow new processes. They will have to allow people to go out to visit customers or to spend more time on the phones contacting new or existing customers. If you don't have the right support at the top level, there might be a problem. Another important factor that makes the difference is the enthusiasm of sales staff. We can't teach them anything. They can improve their technical or selling skills, but if they don't like or if they don't believe in what they are doing, you won't see any improved results. And you can't teach enthusiasm. While we have addressed these steps during the webinar, and they are more or less self-explanatory, I would like to go over the importance of starting with a pilot, which I consider very important. If you have a large network, I would advise you to go with a pilot. You want to correct any pitfalls before you decide to go countrywide. Moreover, it's easier to convince your top management about the importance of introducing a consultative selling approach if you present them some tangible results. It's also easier to monitor the implementation, and last but not least, you can use the successful relationship managers, loan officers, branch managers, or regional coordinators of the pilot as coaches for their counterparts when you decide to expand. So you can use them as speakers at the training or ask them to provide cases from their experiences that, again, you can use in trainings or share it through a newsletter. And as a last comment, don't be afraid to adjust the process to your reality. If you have something that works in your institution, then incorporate it into the process and make sure that everybody embraces it. It's time for another quiz. So now, what do you think? Is it true or false? Selling is an art. It's false, because selling is a process, as we discussed. You have to follow it consistently, practice and apply it regularly, and you will be able to master it. You need to be disciplined and organized. We've hired the best relationship managers. We don't need to train them in selling. Is it true or false? It's false, because you, as an institution, need a consistent approach towards selling, and especially towards customers, a common approach. Moreover, relationship managers and loan officers should have a common language and a common understanding of the activities performed in relationship with their customers. Number 3, we have a constant flow of customers. We don't need to improve our selling skills. Is it true or false? It's false, because selling is not about getting new customers, but more importantly about understanding the needs of our current customers. We have your most important assets, and then offer those customers all the products they need, overcome their objections, and make sure you do follow up regularly. Number 4, our colleagues from the marketing department should come to this training. It's also false, because Selling is different from marketing. Selling is about the personal relationship between the customer and the bank. Marketing conveys to many. Selling communicates with one. Marketing analyzes data and deals with averages and builds the brand of the financial institution. Selling, on the other hand, deals with details of each customer. It doesn't deal with the averages. Selling creates the reputation of the brand. We are a reliable financial institution and want to offer the most suited products to our customers. We need to train our staff in consultative selling. This is true, obviously, because I hope I convinced you about this during the webinar. If all of you answered true at this last question, it's time to read the following testimonials from other SME bankers who have gone through the process of implementing a consultative selling process in the institution. Laura is a relationship manager, the successful relationship manager that was presented in our case study. And now, please feel free to ask your question, because it's question and answer time.
Great. Mihaela, thank you so much. We do have a couple questions coming in, so please post your questions in the chat box or the question box, and I can unmute you, or you can just let me know if you want me to ask the question. So we have John from Koji Bank in Rwanda. John, you had a question for Mihaela? John, are you there? I think we might be having a small technical issue with John. John had a question just in terms of, you know, how to utilize some of the other bank statements and other pieces from another bank, and how you can incorporate those pieces into, you know, selling to a client. So I don't know, you know, maybe you can talk about that. You know, customers who are already at another bank, or you know, how to utilize, you know, some information that you have from another institution in order to bring them over to your financial bank.
Obviously, the first step is to meet the customer and to talk about his or her needs in general, and from that discussion to understand, you can see what they like or they don't like to the other banks in which they work, or they can talk about, you know, what products they use and why do they use that the other financial institution. This would be like, if you want, you can treat that as an objection if you want. You can listen, you have to empathize, to respond, and then confirm, see what they, as I said, not what they want, because this is what they will present first, their wishes, but what they really need. Of course, you have, if you have some information and you are not so sure how to use that, you can channelize the discussion towards that subject and see if the customers reveals that information.
Great. That's that's very helpful. We have another question from Frederico. I think, Frederico, you might be in Germany these days, but if you want to ask your couple questions to Mihaela.
Sure. I mean, yeah, Federico Bilder from Access Holding, SME Finance Manager. The question is related to the cross-selling of lending products and retail products, I mean, transfer and saving products. And I do agree with you that sales training is key, but I think that there are, you know, issues that play a very important role. I mean, incentive systems and organizational structures. I mean, I don't know if you can comment on this.
As I said, I mean, for me as a banker, and I worked quite a lot in SME banking, it was very important to have a customer working with the bank more than just getting a loan. Of course, there are some internal procedures, and some of them are raised by our colleagues from the risk department, and I can tell you that they are more, how to say, ready to give loans to customers who had been customers of the bank prior to applying for a loan. And this is why I always encourage the customers to come and work with our bank to see if what products they like or how they find our products. Have a regular flow of business going through the bank, and then of course we can go towards making a loan and finding other ways of working, of partnership, being partners. Does it answer to your question?
I was more referring to the issue that, I mean, loan officers, of course, focus on selling loans, and even if they receive training, let's say, on transfer and saving products, normally they don't. And I mean, from my experience, it's basically a problem of organizational structures in some financial institutions because, let's say, the SME departments do lending, and there is another department, retail department, which sells, the accounts and transfers, and then there is no cross-selling, and normally, incentive systems for loan officers are basically based on lending products and not on.
Yes.
And I know, I don't know, my experience, I mean, the issue is sometimes not so much the training, but to have the proper organizational structures and incentive systems in place.
Yes, and this is, thank you for bringing this up, because cross-selling, in my opinion, should be part of the KPIs and should be part of the incentive system. And usually when you do that, as I said, you work with somebody from the headquarters, you need a sponsor at the very top level, especially one of the reasons being this, to introduce new KPIs that are related to cross-selling, selling other products, not necessarily loans, and this will make, obviously, loan officer paying attention to other products as well. As you said, some are different departments, sometimes are different people completely, so there isn't much you can do about that. But talking with the customers and just referring and just taking him physically to your colleagues or to the colleagues who is dealing with retail products means a lot to the customer on one hand, and is opening a relationship with the colleagues from the retail department. And as a counter service, if you colleagues from the retail department, when they have as a customer somebody who is an entrepreneur, they might direct them to you for products linked to the company, to SMEs as such.
Yeah, the problem is that retail and SME departments normally work as silos. I mean, and that's a problem maybe of organizational design rather than.
What is about organization can be overcome somehow, because there can be fine solutions that overcome these obstacles from the organizational point of view. How we do that? There is in one bank, for example, we introduced an IT system of referrals, where people would go into a database and input information about the customer, and the SME customer would be interested or would be an interesting prospect for retail products, and the other way around. And that filling that database was part of the job and was somehow linked to the performance evaluation, if you want. Does it answer to your question, more or less?
More.
Thank you, Federico.
Great. Thanks, Federico. We have another question just to kind of continue down this track of upselling and cross-selling. We have Michael from A, who's the head of business banking. And Michael, I didn't know if you also wanted to share, some of the process that your team uses at CBA that might be aligned with what Mihaela has been sharing today, and you can also go ask your question as well.
Thank you. How are you?
Very well, thanks.
Okay. I think from our end, what I can say is, I think just what you've shared on the customer financials, just identifying the transactional saving, individual and needs, has been quite insightful on our end also, just trying to understand that the customer is not just about borrowing. And I think most of the time as relationship managers, we tend to assume that the customer's need is always a borrowing need, which unfortunately most of the time it's not. And just learning, I think for me, that has been our biggest learning point and something that we've been trying to implement and just trying to get the customer to understand. Obviously, for me today, I picked out a new one which I'd never seen ahead of time. I've always seen the transactional, the savings, and the lending, but I think we've always ignored the individual part of the customer need. So I think for me today, that was an addition, and it was quite insightful. To come to my question, I just wanted you to clarify what's the difference between the cross-sell and upsell. I'm not sure I got your explanation on that.
Sure. Cross-sell means when you sell other products to the customer, obviously. So they come for a loan, and you manage somehow to convince the customer, as I said, not only to open an account, because obviously he or she will open an account, otherwise he won't get the loan, but actually to use that account for transactions. If they open, and usually we do this through building product bundles. This works very well. So if you open a current account, you get a debit card, you have the internet access, and this is cross-sell. It's not about opening the account, it's about other 2 or 3 products related to that. Upsell is when you sell more than this. For example, you usually don't want to upsell a loan because usually you want to, to keep the risk under control. But, for example, you say that if you use the current account for 10, I don't know, transactions per month, it costs you $5. But for an additional $2, you may have unlimited transactions through that account. That's an upsell. The customer pays a little bit extra, or pays extra, but has a better service. It's what we do with with the credit card, where you have regular, gold, and platinum. That's an upsell. You pay extra for a service. It's the same service, but you get more benefits.
Thank you for that. That's a good clarification.
Great. Thank you so much, Michael. We have several other questions, and so please keep posting them. And I think that this is working well to unmute the microphone. So I'll continue to do that if that works. Elena, are you there?
Yeah, if you can hear me.
Oh, we can hear you great. If you just want to let us know which institution you're from and your role there, and you can ask your question to Mihaela.
Yeah, I belong to the International Financial Corporation, which is the World Bank Group. Yes, and actually, thank you very much, Mihaela, for the presentation. And I would like just to ask the question: what is considered to be the best practice in meeting leads conversion rates or successful rates? Hello?
It really depends on financial institution, and actually, you know how skilled are people in meetings and in transforming products into customers. Sometimes we see 3%, not more, from phone calls. From a phone call up to signing a loan. So actually, you have to make quite a lot of phone calls before you are able to disburse a loan. The process itself, as I mentioned here in one of the slides, it was one of the KPIs in our case study, the success rate. Just we wanted to stimulate the loan officer, actually the relationship managers, to make phone calls, to do site visits, because only from a large pool of site visits you can end up with some customers. But as I said, it may be as low as 3%, and I've seen situations in which there were like somewhere like 6% of phone calls, total phone calls to getting a loan. Does this answer to your question?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Elena. We have another question coming from Jerome, and this is about outsourcing your sales and how that can affect your sales, if that's better or worse. So, Jerome, do you want to tell us a little bit more about your question? And please let us know what organization you're with as well.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Jerome Jakaboba from Ghana, Consultative Microfinance. I'm in charge of credit. I'm asking this outsourcing of sales. We've been doing outsourcing with related partners, and currently I'm having a proposal before me from one of our partners that he has clients having savings and investment portfolios with her, but unfortunately they have volumes of requests that they don't have enough cash flow to finance them. So they sent a proposal that they want to outsource these to us, so that we establish a kind of collaboration that the clients will be keeping their savings with them, and then they bring the loans for us to disburse, and then so invariably they want to play like a middleman role kind of thing, such that they will be dealing directly with the customers, and then we will be giving them the loan. I just want to know, what is your position on that? Will you advise that we keep that type of relationship where the client reports directly to another, like a competitor, but you are financing the lending needs of the customer?
When you outsource part of the selling, this is good in terms that you have a constant flow of leads. However, this doesn't mean that your role as a salesperson diminishes in any way. A person, either loan officer or relationship manager, who deals with customers coming in through that channel should go through the whole process of selling, identifying the needs, seeing what products fit best the needs, and this, even if you talk only about loans. A customer may come up and ask for a $200,000 loan. But after you talk with the customer, you realize that in fact they need only, I don't know, $80,000 loan for investment loan, the difference would be a working capital, but only after the investment is finalized, and actually they don't need it in one tranche. They need it in over 6 months period of time. So this, as I said, the requests are different from the needs. So even if you outsource that, the sales role of a loan officer and are still important. He or she, the loan officer, should follow that process.
Okay.
Jerome, does it answer your question?
I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that's fine. Thank you. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Jerome. We're going to take one final question. We do have a few more coming in. So if we didn't get to your question, we will try to answer it in our LinkedIn group. We do have a CapPlus LinkedIn group, and we'll post some of the questions there. And we'll try to get those answered there. So did you want to ask your question directly? It looks like you've muted your microphone. If not, I can go ahead and ask the question directly. If you want to unmute it, you can. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and ask. So this is from a microfinance institution, and this microfinance institution only offers loans. So they're not doing other types of services, no savings accounts. So the question is, what can they do to cross-sell if they're not offering any other services besides loans? Mihaela?
Yes, if you are a microfinance institution and sell loans, obviously this is your product. And obviously, as explained a little bit earlier, you have to look what are the real needs of the customer. Do we talk about an investment loan? Do we talk about working capital loan? Is it a short-term or a long-term loan? What's the purpose of that? So the discussion about loans gets a little bit into more details, and the cross-sell would be between various types of loans, actually. Usually, if you have an investment loan, you would like to probably have the working capital loan as well with your institution, so that you see how the customer actually runs the business, to see if there is a short of cash, when they have extra cash. So mainly here it is the effort of cross-selling. Olga, is this?
I think she's still muted, so we'll take that as a. Oh, Olga, are you there? Okay, go ahead.
Hello. Thank you. Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Mihaela, and thank you to all of our participants. As I mentioned, we will be posting some of these questions on our LinkedIn group for Mihaela to respond to, and we'd encourage you to go there and join that conversation. Please also fill out our survey at the end of this webinar as well, because we'd like to hear what you would like us to present in some of our upcoming sessions as well. And if you have any further questions about our sales toolkit, which we spoke briefly about, we'd be happy to answer those questions as well. So thanks very much to everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you for participating in the webinar.